How does a judge view the drug problem? Judge Kenneth Wendt sat on the Illinois Narcotics Court bench for 7 years. He's also in the rather unusual position of actually helping to create the laws he later ruled on. He served in the state legislature for 10 years before becoming a judge, but after his experience on the bench, he decided that the drug laws were all wrong, the very ones that he had helped make. So he became involved with helping the state to write new ones. The new laws went into effect recently, giving Illinois greatly increased therapeutic facilities. I spoke with him early one morning before court opened about addicts and about the laws.
Well, we had an old law, and I want to tell you, I was stupid enough to vote for it when I was in the legislature because all we heard was the prosecuting authorities. The law was this, that a policeman could come up, look at your arms and see if you were tracked, bring you into court for being under the influence of narcotics, and you could be sent to the hospital for 90 days. The Supreme Court said they could be convicted of some crime if they had the narcotics on their possession, unused. But having had taken them and just being an addict, you could not be convicted of a crime because you were sick and not a criminal. Now, that doesn't mean that an addict who committed an armed robbery couldn't be punished for the armed robbery. He could, but he couldn't be punished for being an addict.
How do you feel about that?
Well, after 6 months in the court, after I left the legislature, I said, well, this is terrible putting these people in penitentiaries.
Why?
For being addicts. We don't put tuberculars in the state penitentiary. We don't take people with heart attacks, put them in the penitentiary. And these people are sick too.
Why do you feel they're sick?
Well, there's no question if you ever seen an addict suffer without his fix, without his crutch. Many people use liquor. You go to any one of the suburban trains this morning coming into the city, and about every 10th or 12th person steps into the morning bar over there, and the bartender doesn't even ask, because he does every morning. He gives them 2 shots of this or whatever the guy wants. Or take my wife, who may be an addict. At 7 o'clock in the morning, she's like a bear until she has a cigarette, a cup of coffee, and the morning newspaper. After that, she's beautiful. Now, I don't know if she's an addict, but she's not normal until she has not 1 or 2, but the 3 things. So she has a little emotional crutch, and there are very few people who don't have some sort of an emotional crutch.
Of course, the kids use this to justify their use of drugs. They say this is a drug society. What do you say to that?
I agree with them, wholeheartedly. Look at television. You take this one so you can mop the floors better, and you take that one so you can sleep at night. You take this one to stay away from cigarettes. You say, oh, we're a pill society. There's no question about that.
Well, what's the difference then between, let's say, taking something for your arthritis and...
Well, drugs are good. We couldn't live without them. You don't know anybody who's had any kind of an operation that hasn't had some drugs.
When do they become bad?
Well, when you abuse them. Not when you use them under care. My gosh, you know.
Do you have a clear idea of when use becomes abuse?
I think when it becomes a dependency, maybe over half total, not such a total dependency as the poor, unfortunate street addict, the heroin addict, who needs his fix every so often, or he becomes physically sick because he's physically dependent.
Would those kids come into your court because they've committed crimes under the influence?
Most all came in on crimes. Most of them were pickpockets, check writers, cat burglars, things like that. The girls were prostitutes, but there is no set way. They do it any way that they can to get the money, because all they're interested in is their next fix.
They were crimes to get money, basically.
Mostly, yes, I would always say that. Sure.
So that sort
Poor
of...
addict doesn't want it. He's not a violent person. He's dejected. He's slowed down. He isn't out to do physical harm. When you never say all or never, but the highest percentage of them, they could just get the next $5 for their bag if that's what they're paying for it. The violence subsides and they attempt to use their minds. And sometimes succeed and most of the times fail because they are a little foggy